ass bikes.
Facts. Kool-Aid for dinner.
Yeah.
Well, we're early, so we're live, y'all.
What's going on, everybody?
Guess who we got? We got my man's Cartel, as promised. We are back in the building, and as he would say, and then we have RG5, and guess who's interrupting my stuff? YouTube. Anyways, we got on a little bit early, so I guess we'll start off by saying, RG, tell us a little bit about yourself, man. I know we spoke on the phone about stuff, but whatever you want to disclose.
What's up, y'all? Where do I start? Richard Gadson, nephew of Ricky Gadson, 14-time national champion. I work at Vance and Hines Motorsports. I work and race for Vance and Hines Motorsports. Avid. I always tell people I don't like motorcycles. I like racing motorcycles. There's a difference. So I was gonna say avid motorcycle enthusiast, but I'm not really. I'm just a racing enthusiast,
really?
I guess. Yeah, man. I never had a bike license in my life. Never rode on the street. I might have ridden on the street. I can count on one hand. Just never been my thing. I just like racing.
You know what's interesting? That was a question that I was going to ask you later on, but since you're on it, it was how do you feel about riding? But that's interesting, the dynamic of you not riding on the street, but just literally being a racer on the strip. You know what I mean? I think that's an interesting dynamic. You don't hear that often.
Yeah, I'm paranoid, man. It's like the few times I've ridden on the street, I'm so paranoid the whole time that I don't enjoy the ride. You know what I mean? It's like, I'll follow a lot of groups on Facebook. One of them is like a Houston bike group, and man, every day 2-3 people. It seems like, out there on the street. We lose riders, and what we do is dangerous enough. But I always feel like at the racetrack, if something happens, there's an ambulance right there. There's a I can't hit a tree. I can't hit a car. I can't hit a pole. The ambulance gets to you within a matter of seconds, and there's a lot more other variables on the street. And it's just not for me per se. But so yeah, I would say I love racing motorcycles, but I'm not necessarily a motorcycle guy in general. Never had a bike license, like I said.
Okay, if you never had a license, how the hell do you race pro stock? Avid grudge racer, many titles, know how to tune, and work on where did all that come from?
So you don't need a motorcycle license to do a lot of that stuff. I know. You need a license to operate a race vehicle, like a lot of these series have. You got to have a license or whatever, like especially in HRA, you got to have a license, but their license is dependent on faster than 750 over 175 mile an hour. So but yeah, no, man, a lot of that stuff came from one thing that's cool about me is that, man, I had a lot of help, dude. Like I worked for, the first motorcycle position I would say I had was at HTP Performance. I was a couple years out of high school at the time, and Cecil was just starting, and that was many moons ago. I lived in his house with him and his wife at the time, and I learned a lot from Cecil. My deal was, it's not like I grew up mechanically inclined or like really interested in the tuning and all that. I was always interested in the riding. The tuning stuff and the mechanical stuff didn't come until I would say that HTP phase and after. And I used to be, it's funny, sometimes when I'm working right now, I look at myself and I'm like, you used to be awkward with tools. You ever see somebody like when they're working on something, they just don't know. They just look.
They don't know what they. Yeah, you can tell.
That was me.
Know what you're doing.
I was awkward with tools, man, and I always laugh, inwardly about that. But good friend named Johnny Locklear is who I'd have to give pretty much 99% of what I know tuning wise from. I worked at a shop called Cooper Performance in Georgia, and I was ready to go to DynoJet's class and learn how to tune. And Johnny was like, "You don't need that shit." He was like, "I'll teach you." Oh, can I curse on here? No.
No, I won't get demonetized. Yeah. We curse a lot. Yeah.
All right.
Cartel curses a lot.
All right, gotcha. He was like, "You don't need that. I'll teach you." And not only did he teach me how to operate the tuning softwares and the dyno and all that stuff, he taught me actually how to understand what an engine wants and needs. And the different, he taught me the details of it. and it kind of just went from there, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I went to I know you know Harville because I was supposed to
Harville,
yeah. I went up there to his shop, man, and learned dyno tuning. And it's wild though because it's a perishable skill, right? Like if you're not doing it continuously, like I don't know how to hook up the dyno now. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like I forgot.
If you did it, if you like were standing there and had to do it, you probably kind of could fumble your way back through it and learn.
I was having this issue yesterday, bro.
What's that?
It was having trouble connecting.
Oh, you're not connected?
Are you not connected, Cartel?
I am. I'm good.
Okay. Yeah. We see you. We hear you.
I can't hear Ricky though. I can't. Either or. Is that Ricky or me?
Richard.
Can you hear him?
Yeah. I can.
Yeah. Clearly. I mean, I didn't say anything in a while, but
yeah, I can't even see him.
That's weird.
I might have.
Yeah, that is weird.
What you did before, he might need to log off and log back on.
Yeah. You know, one of the things that I wanted to ask you, and I don't know if it's like a point of contention, right? I remember when it was like what, 3 or 4 years ago, you were supposed to who was it? You were supposed to race Mad Dog versus Melania. Yeah, bro. That like, though everybody named Mama wanted to see that race.
Yeah, I did too.
Now, have y'all been in talks about like something like that going on since you're gonna be in the Grudge game a little bit more this year?
No, it's one of those things. I think it ran its course. I mean, if we just so happen to run into each other, we do. But it was a super, super, super tense situation at that time, and we, and once it didn't happen the second time when we went to Budds Creek, once it didn't happen the second time, and I kind of just was like, he kind of after that whole deal, after that whole situation, I feel like Chris changed, meaning, he stopped picking on people. He stopped trying to make mockeries of other competitors. He just kind of started doing this thing because I think what Chris does is really good for drag racing. I think that the exposure he brings to the sport and everything he's doing is huge for our sport. I just, at the time, I didn't like that he was doing it at the expense of his peers. Yeah. And like, he has like, he almost has like a cult following. Like the people that follow him they don't know shit about racing. They don't hardly even know shit about bikes. So when you would read the comments, they were like, they would kind of like believe all of that stuff and judge people that's been doing this for a long time based on what Chris was kind of doing. So after, to make a long story short, after that whole Mad Dog situation, he kind of cooled out and chilled out. We might have made amends, truce as far as the way we were operating at that time. Well, not me. I was on the defensive. He was on offense.
He was on offensive.
Yeah, he was on offense. But we kind of just was like, if I see you, I see you, and that's kind of how it went. He hasn't called me out or nothing like that since, and I haven't even, honestly. That was an emotionally charged. That whole bike, that build, that was a nitrous 1000. And after that whole Orlando debacle, I called Dexter and I was like, "Yo, man, I gotta have a Turbo 1000 because that's the only way you can beat another Turbo 1000 is with a Turbo 1000. You can't even do a Busa or you can't do a nitrous bike. So I said, I gotta have a Turbo 1000, and so we went to Rodney, and a couple months later we had a Turbo 1000, and it was really only built to run him. So once that race didn't happen, I don't even know if I've ridden. I don't think I've rode that bike since then.
Oh yeah. I know it was a lot of money on the line. I remember seeing it all over Facebook.
Yeah, I remember that too. I remember that.
Yeah, that was
crazy.
As I would not call that time of my career fun. That wasn't fun, man. Yeah, it was real intense. We took something that, a lot of people say, oh, well, racing is a hobby, that's for fun. Right then, that wasn't hobby or fun for us. That was win or bust. That was like that's the pressure. That's the pressure that we had on ourselves was we got to win this race by any means. For about 30 days straight before that race, before the first time in Virginia, for about 30 days, I had a towing company at the time. a tow truck. And dude, I don't think I worked any. I didn't do anything other than go up and down the highway testing that bike back and forth to North Carolina, break it, fix it. Then I found an issue with the clutch, something that I wanted to change. Went to MTC. I mean, I lived on the road running that bike. Is all I did pretty much.
Oh, the lovely life of Grudge.
Yeah, that's the way to be, bro.
No,
that takes the fun out of everything, bro.
It was terrible, but you also got to understand. Prior to that, the 6 months from the time of Orlando until that point, that 6-month time frame of like, I've always been a person that's never really like I never really been in the news. I never been like my uncle does YouTube and Chris does YouTube. They like to be out in front of the public and everybody, all eyes on me kind of. It wasn't really me. I did good racing wise. So like my performance at the racetrack would get me whatever exposure it would get, but I never had that kind of exposure. I never had YouTube comments and people talking about me and so like
so that brought you a different crowd. That brought you into a
whole different crowd, and I wanted to not care. I really wanted to be that guy that's like, I don't care what those people say, or I don't. But it was like, holy shit, man! Like now I got thousands and thousands and thousands of people, however many followers he's got, of people who never met me in their life but have an opinion of me.
And they was hating.
It was excruciating, man. I deactivated Facebook for a minute. It was pretty rough.
Oh yeah. Well, I would think you're used to that though, with the whole, you like the grudge racing. I thought you'd be used to it by now.
Yeah, but see, the difference is that with grudge racing, you're usually talking to your peers. You're usually talking to people who know you or know you enough to have a little bit of respect for you. You know what I'm saying? Or you're talking to people who you're comfortable talking to. You're not talking to people who, how the comments are on the internet, right? Like you can try to rationalize it. You can try to explain something that makes perfect sense. That's 100% fact, truth. But if you're telling it to somebody who only has to type something, you can, they can say whatever they want. They say crazy stuff to you. They, it's just.
It's a losing battle, man. When you get
the comments, it's a terrible place. Terrible place to be.
It could be brutal, and you're going up against a machine like that, bro. Like you said, he has a cult following. You know what I mean? Like social media, man, it could be a real brutal place if you're not used to it or you don't have thick skin.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely,
I can imagine what that was like.
Yeah, it was terrible, man. But like I said, we in a different space now. I see him, talk to him, whenever we cross paths, and it's all good. One thing that's important to know is that I've been racing with Chris. I think both of our first races were the same weekend, Gainesville 2001. We both were racing 600 Supersport. And, so we've been racing together literally side by side almost for 20 some odd years. So it was just a weird space to be in during that time frame with him. But, I think we all good. Everything's cool. He does his thing. And like I said, he does a really good job for motorcycle drag racing and motorcycles in general. He's found his lane, and I think he's doing good with it.
Okay, I know you doing the Vance and Hines stuff since what's that, last season, right?
Yeah, last year was my first year. Was my first year with them.
How'd you like it?
Them?
So, you said how did I?
Yeah.
So, the how I think is I had a bike that a buddy of mine named James Johnson. We both had an idea. He's a brother from Maryland. And I made a decision some years ago, and I was like, you know what? I want to race NHRA. And I decided that wasn't going to be something that I just, like, everybody has dreams, right? It was up here. I wanted to do it, but I realized that it wasn't going to fall in my lap. And I'm not getting any younger, right? I'm not old yet, but I'm not young anymore either. So I was like, you know what? While I'm still in what I feel like is the prime of my racing career, I want to go after racing pro stock. Like, so a buddy of mine named James Johnson from Maryland, he was like, yo, I got a bike. You got a dream. Come get the motorcycle and do your thing. You can build it to whatever you want it to be. So it was kind of outdated. It was old and had like old stuff, old technology on it. So I put fuel injection on it and standalone and got with George Baber at the time from BPM Race Engines in Florida, and built an engine. And I went out there and ran it. The first race I went to, I qualified 9th. Like, I mean, I never even had any testing, no nothing. I went there and first pass in Q1, I was number 9. And I kind of like started to really learn the clutch tuning and the chassis tuning side to a point where I was actually pretty good at that part of it. And I got a job tuning for a guy named Chris Bostic who races pro stock. And you know, and just being in the pits, being with Chris and people and them seeing that I'm, you know, that I knew what I was doing, it kind of I guess you'll say caught their attention. And when Eddie decided that he didn't want to ride anymore, you know, they had to find somebody to replace him. Gage was already his teammate and had already won his first championship. And, you know, they needed somebody who kind of has input, you know, knows about the bikes, can work on the bike, et cetera, et cetera. And I think I just fit the bill from there. And that's how I got the job. As far as how I like it, man, I love it. I love every, you know, it's never work when you wake up every day and you go do what you love
100%
or what you're good at. Right? So like if somebody told you every day, your job every day is to go in this building and find horsepower or tune bikes or whatever the case may be, you'll jump out the bed every morning. Like you'll run, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's pretty much the life I live right now. So I would say the NHRA Pro Stock is the part that's the surface, right? That's the surface that everybody sees. That's my racing dream, and people are getting to see me live that. But behind the scenes, that when I'm not racing, my job is still racing. It's pretty sweet, man. I can't thank the guys enough because, you know, they didn't have to do that. You know, I don't have you know, one thing I always am pretty forthcoming about, pretty candid about is my past, man. I don't have a squeaky clean, straight and narrow, you know, like road to where I'm at. You know, they got every reason in the world to not have given me this opportunity, but they did. So I appreciate these guys, man. You know, I just try to make sure every day that I don't make them regret it. And I think we all enjoying it.
Man. I think that's dope, man. That's dope that, you know, hey, nobody's perfect, bro. It's the fact of, you know, wherever you are at, you turn your life around and, you know, you're very successful now, man. Congratulations to you for that. Yeah. You know, not everybody can do that.
I appreciate it. Change is hard, bro.
Man, I'm nosy. You don't have to disclose, but in pro stock, what size motors are those?
Oh no, that's not secret. So you got a bunch of different combinations. Our engines are 1850 cc's or 1855 to be exact. Yeah, they big. You know, a pro stock bike is 89.5 millimeter bore piston size, and then you got a 73.4 millimeter crank that we rev to anywhere between 13 and 14,000 RPM, depending on different people's engines and combinations. But that's what our engine displacement is. The V twins are, I think, 2,000, 2,200, a little over 2,000 cc's. They're huge. You can stick your head in their cylinder port. They're intake port. I mean, you know, you got some smaller engines out there, but a small one is 1750. So a small one is as big as the biggest Hayabusa you can probably build.
Great.
And you know, that's wild because me and Cartel, as you know, we have been talking about like the street stuff, right? It is migrated to 1600 and 1640s for boosters now. And to us, that's huge. Yeah. I know, like that's crazy, right? I know.
Yeah, that is wild. I didn't realize that people had got that big on the street now.
The competition is real out here, yo. Kyle done woke up the whole booster community. Like, we gotta align and we have to beat these Jixers and these 1000s.
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah, man. It's 1600s plus right now. So that's why I asked, because I'm like, well,
so people trailer them to the spot and then ride and then just race them. They're not riding them to the spot anymore.
No. Like these things are like
they're right.
Streetable. Like they're riding these things all over the place. Yeah, there's several in the roll race community that yeah.
That's wild. That's wild.
Yeah. Now you're thinking like I thought, right? Where back in the past it was like 1441 and 1570s and all this. Oh no.
Yeah, I might have seen a 1506. You know, you might see somebody have a 1441 with a small 5 mil stroker or something like that. And to me, that was pushing it. That's what I remember. Like that was pushing it, you know. But most people roll around with 1441s now. Guys out there with 9 mil strokers and stuff. That's wild,
bro. There's somebody who just put an 11 mil inside of a street bike, bro.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
I know. I know. Like you do, you know, you're a drag racer, but like this street stuff is kind of crazy too, you know.
Nah, no, I listen. I'm one of those guys where I'm pretty versatile with what I like. I don't physically do it all, but I watch everything. I follow everything. I follow the pages. I know who the builders are. I know who the tuners are. I know who the riders are. Like, you know, I pretty much watch a lot of that stuff, man. I follow the groups. I just don't comment or say anything.
Yeah, you know, I was talking to I know you know Curry, and he's one of the guys, man. He's been on me about like me updating my drag bike, right? And you know, I'm cheap. I'm very, very cheap. So and
first problem is knowing it.
Yeah. I'm admitting to it, but like, you know, for a bigger guy that's actually moving. Bro, I'm sitting at 69 inches, man. Shouldn't I be at 75 to 80 like everybody else?
I mean, what do you do with the bike? You kind of like you grudge it, or it's not like a bracket bike or nothing, right?
Oh no, ain't gonna be no grudge. My builder told me I need another $20,000 to $30,000 to be a grudge racer. I can't afford that. That's what he told me.
So I would say at that point, man, you just keep it at wherever you enjoy riding it, because what's probably gonna happen is when you make it super long, and sorry if this goes against what Stefan said or whatever, but if you make it really long, it might be a snooze fest to you. It might be boring. Like it'll never pick the wheel up. It'll never do anything other than go down the racetrack or spin. So, you know, I always had bikes to where, you know, something that didn't really mean, like I didn't have to go to the racetrack and grudge somebody or whatever. Something I just rode for fun. I always made sure that it was a chassis setup that I still had to ride, that I still had to keep my skills up to, you know, abreast on, because a lot of these grudge bikes, man, your only job is on some of these bikes, your only job is don't crash. Like don't hit the wall. You let this button go, they auto shift, a lot of them auto shift and got wheelie sensors and got the whole deal. The rider's job is be green and don't hit the wall. That's it.
That's it.
That's what a lot of them are. You know what I mean? So I always try to set stuff up to where it kept me sharp. You know what I mean? It'll still pick the wheel up. I still got to shift it. I still got to do all that stuff just to keep your skills so where you don't get lazy. So if 69 inches is fun for you and makes you exercise your skills, I will keep it right there. Yeah,
I just got a Gen 2 clutch, but what's your feeling about being true hand clutch versus just throwing it away, you know?
You know, man, I grew up a THC guy, a true hand clutch guy. It's always that's how I pretty much honed my skills. But you know, man, it's 2025, right?
I know you're trying to say it nicely, like
you gotta be able to compete, right?
Right.
Like, you know, there's the pride that makes me say, you know, I want to be true hand clutch on everything. But if I'm going out there, let's just say you go to an XDA event, it's over $12,000 or $15,000 per weekend in winning purses for bracket classes up. If everybody in that class is racing with a Gen 2 clutch, I'm not going out there with a stock one.
Right.
Because my pride or my ego says that that's macho, or I'm not doing that. I want the same chance I can at winning that 15,000 that you got in it.
Right.
And if you're consistent, if that's one thing that helps with consistency, it doesn't mean you can't ride a hand clutch. I can jump on a stock wheelbase hand clutch or a dirt bike. I know I have the ability to ride it, but I'm not trying to prove that. I'm trying to win this money. So
right.
You know, I would enjoy the Gen 2, man. Learn, and while you have it, the one thing I would encourage you to do is learn how to tune it. Like even when you got it pretty much set up right, go make a change to it. If you had a test and tune or something like that, go make a change and learn what those changes do to the bike. That way you're not just, every single, you know how to make changes and you know what it does to the motorcycle. And that's an experience that you can't really, that a lot of people don't have, I should say.
Right. Okay. I definitely wanted to ask you that because I'm sitting at what I consider to be short. It's a nice bike, but I'm short. It's short. I'm fat.
That is
so,
short. That is short. That is short these days.
It is. Okay.
Yeah, that is short these days. So.
Yeah, well.
Go swap that arm. Go swap that arm. You still a true hand clutch, or you're gonna put that Gen 2 in there, Reaper?
Right now it's set up to be THC, but I think and Ghetto is on here telling me I'm beyond cheap. I'm not that cheap. I'm just frugal. And I think that I'm gonna probably get it set up. Like I'm gonna set it up this season. My bike's on the lift and I need to get it put back together and such, but like it'll be fine. I just wanted to see what you thought.
Hey, Ghetto, when people start saying I'm not cheap, I'm frugal, when you start explaining and substituting words for cheap,
it's over. It's over. It's over.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Frugal does sound better though. Frugal.
It sounds nice, right? But he's over here talking about another Hayabusa at the shop that he want to buy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Talking to the old owners and shit. Come on, come on.
That's fine. That's fine.
Real
quick, let's give a shout out to Ghetto. It's the greatest grudge. He's the greatest grudge race move recorded of all times.
Oh, you saw? Yeah. No, don't give him props because he always gives me a hard time.
And may we never let that die. May we never forget about that night, that video, and what you did that day. So that fit the Philly special. Good job, Ghetto.
Philly special.
Yeah, that's what we named it.
Yeah, well, that Ghetto is a fast guy for his size.
Yeah,
which
sure.
I see Envy's on so like a heavy guy, man. A heavy guy, in your opinion, right? Like how difficult is it to get like into the sevens? From a heavy guy.
Not too hard these days. Not too hard these days, man. With everything, with all the advancements that we've made technologically in the last few years, or in the last, I'd say 5 to 10, not really hard, man. I think that a bike like yours, like if you got any kind of engine at all, 1441, 70-inch roundabout, Gen 2 clutch, really, you probably don't even need the Gen 2. Look at Real Street. But, now heavy like Ghetto, I don't harder per se, not a shot at him. I'm just saying it's not quite as easy, but, man, nitrous solves all those problems, or turbos, man. They fix all those issues, but not really too hard, man. You just gotta get into the standalone thing. You got a standalone on your bike?
I do not. I have one, but it's not for that particular bike.
Okay, got you. Yeah, that'll probably kind of connect the dots and make it a little easier for you. But
now he does have a standalone. His bike is extremely nice.
Who's Ghetto's?
Ghetto has one too, but
okay.
Oh well,
who are you talking about?
He's Envy King. Can you see the comments?
No, I can't see the comments. Hold on, wait. If I click it right here, now I can. I got you.
Okay, yeah.
It's not on the screen like it usually is.
Oh, see, now I see it. See, but you, Envy King, you in Vegas, man. It's hard. It's definitely harder out there, especially all motor. You might need to stick a little laughing gas on there, man, and what kind of fuel you on? So you say you're in Vegas all motor and you're stuck at 830s. What kind of fuel are you on?
I want to say when I spoke to him earlier, I think he's moving to M5 now. I think.
Okay. What was he? Was he on gasoline before?
Oh, Q16.
Oh, Q16. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, you can pick up some in some different fuels, man. I don't know much about your engine or what you got done to the bike, but there's some fuels that'll be better. It won't get you 3 temps, but now M5 probably will. M5 will get you close, I should say. I don't know if it's 3 temps in it, but it all depends on how well the bike is tuned now versus how well it'll be tuned when you go to M5. But it's going to be like a whole different bike when you go to methanol.
Yeah. He's what it's funny. Who is your rival? Like if you had a rival, because he's one of my rivals in the drag game. We set up a race like 10 years ago, but I'm too cheap to take it. Yeah, I'm just too cheap, man. I can't afford to get to him. So, oh well.
My rival would have to be Jeremy Teasley.
Really?
It's been that way. We are probably each other's arch rivals. So we were, I guess you'd say I'm a modest dude, so I don't mean it like I'm calling myself this, but people had us as the top two riders. So anytime somebody wanted to beat a bike that Jeremy Teasley rode, whatever owner that was that wanted to beat the bike that Jeremy rode, they would get me to ride against him and vice versa. And we've had some epic battles over the years. And always kind of been tit for tat. We could ride the same bike behind each other. And we'd be within a couple hundredths of each other. And it was just, we always been similar to same weight. When he first started, he was tiny. And I actually went through a phase at that time where I was a little chunkier. But when I got serious and he got serious, we were both kind of in the same weight. Yeah, just always, man. I'm reading what you said about the H2. Yeah, that was the same thing. I was riding the one from my uncle. He did for a guy from Texas. I can't remember his name. John Faircloth, I think his name was. And then and Jeremy rode what's Buddy's name from up north? I think that was a boosted something. Boosted H2
out of Canada, right?
Yeah, and Jeremy went to 797, and I went 8.0s on my uncle's bike, I think it was, or on the bike my uncle did. But I only made like 2 or 3 runs, and I think Jeremy did too. But man, we've always been rivals, good friends, a lot of respect for each other, but just kind of always ran into each other, man. It's always been that way.
You think you can jockey
to have something like that? That's how you sharpen your sword. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, definitely. I would say he made me better. He made me have to get better. You get stagnant, you get comfortable, and then somebody comes along and kind of shakes things up, and you're like, man, I got to step it up. I got to get serious. I got to get better. And he's always been that driving force for me. I wish he'd come race pro stock. I might get a race win then if I can. I had to race Jeremy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jeremy Teasley's fast, man.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know how you got. Let me ask you this, right? Out of all this class that you're in this year, is this the most is this the most excitement you've had, you think, in this journey that you're on now with Vance and Hines?
This is the most excitement I've had for my entry, for my, I won't say it's the most excited I've been for racing in general, because nothing excites me more about this than anything else. If I was leaving tomorrow to go to an XDA race, I'd be excited to go to that race, to ride whatever it is I'd be riding, because I don't really race or do this for the TV stuff. I don't care about any of that stuff. I like pro stock motorcycle because they're normally aspirated bikes. There's not much drag racing anymore where, they're normally aspirated. I like the finesse and the precision that it takes to go fast. The how perfect you got to be, and that's an art that's kind of lost in drag racing right now. Every class is power adder or long wheelbase or whatever. So they take a lot of the how perfect you have to be out of it. Because you have more power than you can use in the first place. So now your job is to get it down the racetrack the best way you can. It's not about using every single piece of horsepower that you have as efficiently as possible. So that's what I like about pro stock. But, man, I still get just as excited for anything. If I was going to go ride a super stock bike tomorrow, it would still get me just as excited. I like challenges, man. When you see me get bored, is when you see me mentally check out. If I'm not pissed off or it's no longer hard to ride this particular bike or I've already won X amount of races in this class. And, then I'll kind of start getting where it's not as exciting. But as long as I got an uphill battle, as long as I got something to chase, as long as I got something that's hard or challenging, you get me excited.
I think with that being said, so if you'll probably be racing for Vance and Hines this year as well, right?
Yeah, we just had our first race a couple weeks ago in Gainesville, Florida. And our second race isn't until April 25th to 27th in Charlotte. Like the hardest part is we got this long off season, right? And then you go to the first race in Florida, and then you got another 6 weeks before your second race. It feels like another off season again for us. But yeah, we've already started. This is my second year with them, and I'm feeling excited about, to piggyback on what you originally asked me. I'm excited about this year with my bike, because I think that this year we'll have we'll step it up a couple notches in performance. And I think I've been a good number 3, 4, 3rd to 5th place guy. I think this year I can kind of elevate up to rival Gage and Matt and the 1 and 2 spots.
Do you think you're going to have time to go back to grudge racing? Because I know you said you were looking into that this season.
I'm going to make sure I have. I'm going to make sure I have time. You know, I didn't stop because of this. You know, it was just a thing where, like I said, I started a business and you know, tried to grow up and be an adult. And
we all try to grow up, bro.
All I ever did my whole life is race, man. Like, you know, I had other jobs and stuff like that, but racing was my number one priority. I'd quit if you told me I couldn't go to the race that I put in time for, or whatever. If you said no, I just walk away from the job because I'm going to the race. You know what I mean?
Right. Heard that, Reed?
Well, I wouldn't call that the responsible way of living. It didn't land me much good fortune off the racetrack. So I started a towing company, and that required as much of me as racing required of me, right? So where I used to be on the phone all day long, every single day, if I wasn't at the racetrack, I was on the phone talking about racing, or I was working on the bike that I was going to race next week. In some fashion, I was racing. Well, now that's not, you know, at that point, that wasn't the case. So, you know, now I'm working nonstop and, you know, weekends. So you started trying to prioritize, do I need to go to this race? Because if I can make X amount of dollars if I stay home and work, and et cetera, et cetera. And then through the middle of starting that business, I had my first child. I'd never been a dad. So, you know, life got a little bit real, man. It was like, okay, well, now the priority of it, I still love racing, but now instead of it being number 1 in my life, it's kind of like number 3 or somewhere down there.
Yeah.
And it just kind of took me away from that side of it for a little while. But, you know, I'm a little bit more settled now, and I don't tow anymore. So I work on race bikes, and part of my job is we got a lot of things coming down the pike, man. We got a lot of cool stuff coming for Hayabusas. We're going to be doing our own billet cranks for Busas. We you know, obviously we're known for our cylinder head packages and hidden cams, but we got a lot of things coming down the pike for Busas, and who better than to go race them and learn and see if it's good, it's bad, you know, show people what they are than me. And you can't do that in pro stock. Pro stock isn't a Hayabusa application. So I'll be back at the Grudge Races, man. I'll be back on the no bar bikes. You know, and another thing is that even from a riding standpoint, like, I feel like one of the things I struggled with last year was getting a rhythm. Because I raced so much before. I saw the tree so many times before. You know, you got to think last year, let's just say I made 50 runs on my pro stock bike. I might make 30 runs in a weekend at XDA. You know what I mean? Wow. So 50 runs in a whole year versus 30 per weekend. So, and I went to one Grudge event last year, and I felt so good, man. I was like, this is me. This is what gets my juices flowing, is being out here and riding more. So I told my girl, I said, listen, this year I want to step it up. And the way I'm going to step up my riding in general is just to ride more. So I'll be out there.
Okay. Envy has a question for you. Can you see that?
Yeah. Yo, Rich, I've seen. So I'm going to read it out loud for people.
No, what? I got something better for you. Here we go. Check it out.
Oh, cool.
Okay. So that's a good question, man. That's a good question. I can tell you that there's no difference between Gage's bike and my bike as far as a parts standpoint. You know, there's no Gage's engines, Richard's engines. I mean, we both have an engine that we like, but all the engines have been in all the bikes, man. We have a rotation, basically if I'm up on my amount of runs on my motor and it needs to be looked at, checked out, we try not to run them until they break. We try to stay on top of them. And if mine is out of rotation and I got to go in the trailer and grab another motor, it doesn't matter what motor it is. So they're all the same. Nothing's any different. We do have different tuners, but we all kind of work together, I should say, on trying to make them the same. But man, it's a hard deal. So Gage and that motorcycle and Andrew, a lot of people. So you got Gage haters, right? Gage haters will say, "Oh, it's not Gage bike. The bike has always been fast. Angel rode it. It was fast when Angel rode it." That's true, but Gage getting on that bike made it to where Andrew could really tune the life out of it because of how consistent he is, how he does the same thing every time, and the feedback that he can give from a run. I'm capable of the same thing. It's just that we haven't gotten this. That is a chemistry. What you see with Gage Herrera right now is a chemistry between him, his tuner, and the motorcycle. Their chemistry is perfect. Me, my tuner, and my bike, we don't have all three things on the same page at the same time right now. And that equates into, you got to think we're talking a few hundredths of a second, right? That's the conversation we're having is a few hundredths of a second. So that's the difference that matters, man. We just got to get in, some more passes, man. We don't test much because we all work so hard at the shop on customer stuff, on giving the customers what they need and getting things out there. Since Terry bought the business back, the priorities in that building has changed. And Gage's first year, that wasn't really the situation. So, we just need some more passes, man. All the passes you guys seen me make are the only passes I've made on this bike. So I tell a funny story. Last year, one of the races I messed up. I did something, and Terry Vance, who's our boss or our race team owner, said, "Well, that's because you change your routine. You change what you do. You shouldn't have changed your routine." And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I don't have a routine. I'm trying to, every pass I go up there and change something I do because I'm trying to find what I like, what makes me comfortable. And if you believe it or not, I'm still doing that. So we'll figure it out, man. I think this year I'll be a lot closer. I think I'll get some race wins this year, and we'll see what happens. I'm reading your comments as I'm talking. Let's see here.
Okay.
Yeah, I know people think that there's something special other than on his motorcycle. There is something special, but it's not in the parts. It's not parts. It's not like
it's them. It's them.
It's them. It's them. His motorcycle he can ride it on a tightrope. My bike, that hasn't been the case. And you can build all these bikes to be the same, right? But it's no different. You go to the dealership and you buy two brand new Hayabusas, two brand new. They come off an assembly line. One's faster than the other, right? One's gonna go on the dyno and make 3 more horsepower than the other. You go buy two brand new Honda Accords. One gets 33 miles a gallon, the other one gets 31. Why? They were built on an assembly line. But every bike has characteristics. Our bikes are built with the intent to be identical. Except, you weld two wheelie, you weld two sets of wheelie bars together. One set flexes slightly different than the other set. His tires sidewall is a little bit different than mine. So what his needs for tire pressure is different than mine, et cetera, et cetera. My body weight, my body mass versus his length, where he sits out on the bike, where I sit on the bike. All of these things are different and requires you to tune the bikes differently. And they've pinned the tail on the donkey on how to tune his bike. Mine, we haven't really got it quite there yet, man. So we working on it.
Okay, you'll get there. Obviously, you're a great rider, so you'll get there.
Working on it.
I think the only other question I had was so right now I have an issue with Gixxer 1000s, like all of the 1Ks, right? And
here we go.
I just wanted to know, because you've been around bikes for a while. What is the lightest Grudge Busa that you have? And it's not your, so what's the average weight of a Grudge Busa?
Average, a nitrous bike or all motor?
Let's go all motor first.
I would say average is probably 350 to 360. I would say light is in the 320s and 30s.
Okay.
You know, you got to think, man, they got titanium frames out now. So, you know, so you got titanium frames and Inconel pipes. You got to think between the frame and the pipe, you're only talking a total of 15 pounds. A stock frame by itself is 30 something pounds, right?
Right.
So,
right.
You know, you're shaving a lot of weight right there, but you know, these bikes are all carbon fiber, all titanium. These guys, man, I'm telling you, the nicest and baddest bikes in racing are not top fuel bikes. They're not pro stock bikes. They're not they're grudge bikes. I feel like those are the baddest machines built right now. And the owners aren't sparing no expense. And actually they're getting so expensive that you're seeing people click up. Like you're seeing guys click up like 2, 3, 4 guys. Like, listen, we're gonna split the cost of this and let's build a bike because the cost to compete to stay at that level is getting pretty crazy. It's getting pretty crazy. Yeah, I'm tapped out, bro. I can't do the tie frame. I have a limit. Not me, because I don't pay for the stuff, but I can't even. I always like to say that I always spent my guy. I don't spend their money, but I always suggested things that I really, really, really thought, you know, I was spending their money with care. Like if I had the money, this is what I would do. Gotcha. And I haven't called one person I ride for and say, yo, we got to get this titanium. I'm not doing that's I'm not making that call. That's crazy.
Yeah. I just always wondered that, you know, a lot of guys are trying to figure out like how to get their bikes light, right? I know my drag bike is probably needs it. I'm currently trying to put on a diet. But
yo, listen, this is what we do. This is how we do it.
Okay.
Like for a grudge bike, you take it completely apart. Not saying you got to do this to your bike, but this is the mindset. Take it completely apart. And as you put it together, every single thing you touch in your hand, everything you hold and go to put back on, you look at it and you say, can it be made any lighter? Or does anybody make a lighter piece? And if that's your mindset for every single piece and part on that motorcycle, it's going to end up pretty light. You know, like I say some people are 75%ers. They'll do the big things. You build the bike 75% of the way. They'll do the big things. They'll buy wheels, you know, they'll buy, you know, a lower tank or whatever. And that takes a big chunk off. But you're going to run into somebody, or that's right, beater boost. I forgot that, dude. That was the other part is, do you even need it at all? Because if you look it in your hand and say, okay, I got to have this, then you say, is it lighter? If you look at it and you say, man, I don't even need this, or I don't know what this does.
I don't know what this does. What do I need? Why I need clip-ons? I don't need this.
That's right. But yeah. So I say all that to say, if you build the bike 70, if you're a 75%er and you go out there and you run somebody who did it all the way, you're gonna have a problem because weight is like is free horsepower. Not free because it's not free, but you know, it's horsepower, or it's not actually horsepower. It equates to going faster. So, you know, you gotta, you know, that's one, and that can be done cheap, man. Depends. It don't have to be pretty. If you can take a hacksaw to something, man.
Hey, man, I've seen.
Listen, Ricky, you got to watch what you say, man, because there's these roll races out here, man. They listening, and if they can put something on the road with the sauce on, look at Reed laughing. He's like he knows. You know what I mean?
Roll racers, to me, honestly, build the baddest bikes out there right now, dog. Like their attention to detail, their attention to if you go through most drag racers' phones, they're gonna have pictures of roll race bikes in their phones because the stance, the everything else. I've even gotten converted onto the boost offender thing. I hated that when that first started. I was like, man, that is the gayest looking thing in the world. Was to put a boost offender on a ZX10 or whatever case may be. But I even like that now, man. So
I can't stop hating on 1000s, Matt. You know that.
Hating like a motherfucker, man.
Hey, dog, them 1000s are tough to beat.
They are, and
tough to beat, man.
Hate, man.
Reap says it all the time that, you know, some of the fastest roll bikes out here, like top tier, you know, they have the essence of grudge bikes. There's an essence to them of what grudge guys do. You know what I mean? I think it's a culmination probably You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
Of someone that's very knowledgeable, and just put together something that's just real gangster, man. You know, so. But you know, Reap has been really on this booster kick, and there's a lot of really nice boosters coming out. So it should be an interesting season. Yeah.
Yeah, man. You got an uphill battle, but you know that's how I raced my whole career, dog. Like if everybody was doing one thing, if everybody was going right, I went left, and that's how I've been forever, man. And in drag racing, there's some classes that's dominated by boosters or dominated by turbos. I'll build a nitrous bike, you know, et cetera, et cetera. I just always went the other way, man. So, you know, I would say you got an uphill battle to beat them dudes, but
I know, man. I'm not making it any better, but like Envy said, I do know that you can ride and you're a jockey. Guess what?
That's funny.
I got some for that ass. This is the year of the booster. This is the year of the booster. I don't care.
Yeah. Do your thing. Hey, Evan, man. First of all, I appreciate it, but EJR, as I actually was thinking about Evan a minute ago when you were talking about boosters, and if you want to know somebody that I respect a lot for their attention to detail, man, is Evan. Like that's a dude that I think has got his shit together. If I was in the roll racing world, I'd be trying to run behind his coattail. So I just saw him comment, so I wanted to say what's up. Give him a shout out.
You know what's funny about that is I was talking to Evan the other day about you, and he said the same thing about you.
Yeah.
Look at that. Look at that. It's working itself out.
It's funny because I'm somebody that I call, or not that I call, that people call a tuner, right? I'm somebody who am able to tune. But I think that there's some things that you guys do in roll racing that we don't necessarily exploit just yet in drag racing. As you look at some of the bikes, like he had that guy from Canada with that ZX10 that was flying. But I had a new booster, still got it. It's at the shop. I just never finished it. And I was going to do a super stock bike out of it, man. I was going to ship that bike to Evan and just tell him to find the power out of it. Cause I just think you guys do a really good job at some of the things that we don't do as good of a job at, because you get to go out there and, you know, like how you guys tune on the road. The dyno is only a tool where you can get, we'll call it a baseline, but that's not the end all to be all. That don't mean your shit's fast because you dynoed it and you tuned it on the dyno.
Right.
It's a total different ball game with going down the road. And with drag racing, there's so many other variables because you're taking off from the starting line. So you got wheelies, you got, it wasn't as good of a launch, or et cetera, et cetera. So being able to pinpoint whether something you did was better or worse tune-up wise is a little harder to do sometimes because there's so many other variables. But in roll racing, when you go out there and you hit it at whatever 40, 60 or whatever the case may be, and if this tune-up change you made is better, it's going to accelerate and go faster. That's hard evidence. You know what I mean?
Well, hey, I tell you what, I don't know if this is a mixture between the drag race community or all communities are giving you props, man. Good stuff.
Yeah,
good stuff, bro. Like you preaching out here, man. Some people catching the Holy Ghost in these comments, bro.
Hey, man, this
do it.
Yeah, man. I just try to call it like I see it, bro.
Hey, Chris, I think Chris said, when are you guys having lunch again? Because I know it's been a while since you visited Tennessee. I saw you and whoever it was. I don't know the guy's name.
Oh, that's Chris.
That's my dude. Yeah. So
yes, sir. Gooch's Chris. Yeah. Nah, man, that's my dude. I miss hey Chris. That's the best autoplay in my long career that I told you has not been that straight and narrow. I've one of the cool things about that experience is I got to live in a lot of different places, man. I've moved all over, everywhere, and Nashville is hands down the best place I ever lived. And Chris was like a lifeline for me, man, because I was still working on bikes, actually building the pro stock and everything in Nashville, the one that I told you about. And I would just run up to Gucci's all the time, man. Can you clean these injectors, man? Can I use your dyno, man? This, man, that. He was a lifeline for me, man. If I can ever return that favor some kind of way to Chris, I owe him one big time.
I don't know what that means, but do you see that? I don't know. Okay, I think that's good, right? How do you interpret that, gents? Thank you, Sharon. I think that's good. I don't know, but thank you.
And Stephen Fair, I appreciate you, bro. I'm getting it soon. I'm definitely gonna shoot for Charlotte, man. I think if I can get 4 qualifying rounds in Charlotte, I think I can win the 4 wide.
I think that at some point, man, and I know you're gonna be against this, but I asked everybody. I want autographs. Me and Cartel want. He gonna send you a shirt and everything, man. We need it. We need it.
Oh yeah,
man.
No question.
Because it's funny. When I spoke to him on the phone initially, man, I was like, not on some. Would you say I was kind of like starstruck? I was treating you like a celebrity.
Yeah,
he was like, no.
Nah, you were cool. You just kept saying, "Oh, I don't mean to bother you," or "I know your time is up." I'm like, who's he talking to? I'm just a regular dude, man. I'm not like I told you on the phone. It's just racing bikes or what I do on a motorcycle is what I do. It's not who I am. You know what I'm saying? It's just what I do. I'm a man. I give respect to other men, whether you have as big of a name or not, man. So you wasn't bothering me, nothing, man. I was happy to talk to you. I'm happy to be on here. I'm having a ball, man. I appreciate y'all having me.
No, we appreciate you, Richard, man. You definitely gave us some bars in here today. You know what I'm saying? Just all around racing, bro. We really appreciate it.
That was one question that I had, Richard, was so what bike are you riding in the Grudge scene this year? You know?
So I've always ridden a million bikes. One thing that's been cool in the last 2 years of me kind of not being on the scene a whole lot is that a lot of the guys have found other riders, you know, because I haven't been around. So it kind of narrowed it down for me to where I can focus on just a few. I'm gonna ride Mad Dog again. I want to get that bike squared away again for Dex.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So I'll make some passes on Mad Dog. A buddy of mine, Doc, we call him Doc. Derek Henderson from Maryland's got a nitrous booster that he built for me this year. All carbon fiber gangster, pretty nice bike. I'll be on that one. Buddy of mine named Terry Hoke from Louisville, Kentucky, Wheeler gang, Deshaun Wheeler. They got a bike called Game Over that I'll be riding some this year. And I don't know, man, that's like a revolving door. Like, you know, as always, if you go to a race, I'm going there to ride these 2 bikes. But then when you get there, you end up riding 2 or 3 more. So, but those would be my main focal points this year is just those few bikes.
Okay, I look forward to it, man.
That's so crazy that you have that talent to just jump on any bike, bro. That's beyond me, bro, to be a jockey.
You know where that comes from? When I was younger, people used to call me a bike whore because I would go to the track a bike whore. Yeah, so they used to say basically being a bike whore. Like I rode, it was almost like frowned upon. Like in drag racing, if you at the track and you just jumping from bike to bike to bike to bike to bike all over the place, they call you a bike whore. Like you not. I don't know why it was a bad thing because now as I think about it, it's a good
look
thing.
At you now.
Yeah, but it gave me an experience. It gave me experience, you know, like it gave me and the ability to do them all at the same time. You know, like you stock wheelbase to a wheelie bar bike, you might be riding them the same day or 5 minutes apart or 10 minutes apart from each other. You know what I mean? It was you can't replace the experience I got from being a bike horse. So I'll take it.
I feel like a lot of the jockeys are though. Like one guy I see running around all the time, Kill Bill. It seems like that dude is just like
bike whore. Yeah,
bike to bike to bike to bike to bike.
Bike to bike to bike.
All
from
y'all like that,
dirt
man.
bike to a 4-wheeler to a all-out grudge bike. He can ride them all.
It's crazy, bro. That's awesome.
Okay, now come to a roll race thing. This I don't know. You said you don't ride in the street, so like, would you if like let's say Emily wanted you to ride his H2, or would you be opposed to that? Like, because I know you jockeys make a lot of money.
If y'all caught me a few years ago, I probably would have been more prone to it, man. But you know, it depends on the setting. It depends on where you are. When I lived in Florida, man, shout out Speedy Samiti. Shout out Speedy Samiti. But when I lived in Florida, Will was my lifeline when I lived in South Florida. And he would take me right over there where the drag strip was, that long street right out there by the Shell, somewhere like that. I'd probably do it. somewhere like that, I'd probably do it. But man, I watch videos online on the expressway, on the highway.
No.
You can count me out of that. I watch the guys in Texas. Y'all boys wild down there in Texas, man.
Texas. Shout out to Texas. Them some wild boys out there. Bro.
Yeah,
they're wild guys out there for sure. But the roads out where Envy's at, those are just desolate. You don't have to worry about nothing, just hooking and booking.
Yeah, something like that, man. To me, that's almost the same as a racetrack. I'd go out there and do something like that, man. But it just depends on the setting.
Okay. Well, what I will tell you, I'll talk to you offline. I'll talk to you offline about that. But anyway, okay. I'm not bothering you, but I have taken up a lot of your time. Now we'll go to the comments. Right, do y'all have any questions for the legend here?
Come to our Vegas event. Yeah. I'm always looking for an excuse to go to Vegas. So,
hey, they throw
any event y'all got out there. Anybody want me to come out there? I'm down.
It's called the Super Bowl of roll racing.
Super Bowl of roll racing.
Yeah. Okay.
And, they bring some nice stuff out there to race. So yeah.
I'm not gonna be like that guy that's like, oh, because I'm good at riding, I'm gonna go out there and be the man and grudge and roll racing. I'm sorry, because there's a lot of things that I don't know about it. Like I know how to, I understand what's happening, but obviously there's guys that are better or worse at it. I kind of need some passes to get used to what I'm doing, what gear am I hitting it in, and everything like that. I need to learn the bike, you know what I mean, before I could call myself to be a threat to anybody, No,
when is the next NHRA event in Vegas?
The next NHRA event in Vegas is Halloween weekend, I believe. It's always around Halloween. So whatever the weekend is around Halloween, that's when the Vegas race is. Last year it was like October 31st to November 2nd or something. So that's when it'll be this year too. He says I think you should be able to ride Gage's bike. So that's funny that you said that. After last year, when I lost in Pomona, because my bike wouldn't run at the end of the year, it was slow as pond water. And the boys knew it. They were frustrated about it. But after that race, Andrew was like, man, look, the first year we won the championship with Gage, we feel like we had a performance advantage. He was honest about it. He said this year, which was last year, he said we wanted to just beat Matt fair and square without a performance advantage. And he says, now that we've done that, he was like, if y'all want to switch bikes, you can. But I don't want to do that, man. As much as I want to win, as bad as I want to win, I don't want to he's got a good combination and he's young and upcoming and this is his dream. He's living, I always say we living in his dream too. So, I don't want to take him off of his bike and I ride it. I'd rather find my way on my own bike. So we'll keep Gage on his and keep me on mine.
You'll get there, bro. You'll get there.
Yep. Reading favorite race I've been in. My favorite race is probably the first race that we went to race Chris Moore for the 50,000 when it didn't happen. That's probably the best night I ever had at a racetrack, and I didn't even have to win anything that night. That's probably my favorite race. It wasn't just because of all of that drama. It was because I did something. Let me do that again. Everybody that was involved in that bike, Rodney Williford, John Gover, myself, Dexter, and everybody else that had input in that, we did something that changed grudge racing forever. We went a number that weekend that nobody had ever even seen, heard of, or thought was possible or anything that weekend. So that was as close as I ever felt like to easy money. I felt like that was going to be the easiest 50K I ever got, which is kind of why I turned it down. And wanted to wait, but that's probably my favorite night at the racetrack ever, man. Just that one night. I don't think I went to sleep that night.
$50,000.
Yeah,
man.
And I shouldn't say it was going to be easy. It wasn't going to be easy, but I felt like it was ours. It was on us to fuck it up. The ball was in our court. If we didn't screw it up, we had money.
We got another one for you. Why isn't Ricky your crew chief? Why isn't your uncle crew chief?
Because the guys, they already have crew chiefs, and my uncle's not really he's learning tuning. And he does good with his bikes and the stock bikes, but he's always been an exceptional rider. He was never really a clutch he's got a bike on the dyno right now with a max ECU on it, and he calls me to help him sort it out and figure it out. So that's why he's not a crew chief. He's always had legendary crew chiefs. He was never actually a crew chief.
Oh, now they hate. See, you bring up Chris Moore, whatever.
Chris is, you either love or hate him. But he bare minimum demands respect. You know what I'm saying? If you don't like him, there's a long line of people that don't like him. And there's a long line of people who do like him, but I think everybody at least respects his gangster. You know what I mean? He's not to be taken lightly. He's not to be, he can still go to the race. He can still ride. And, Melania, the Turbo 1000 and all really kind of, that's one thing. But even aside from that bike, he's still an exceptional. I would still call him a top 10 rider in racing probably ever. So, or maybe not ever, but for sure of this generation, definitely a top 10 guy. So he at least demands respect. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I don't have a problem with Chris Moore, but I've spoken to him. He says he spoke. I mean, he seems cool. You seem cool, but people don't like you either.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's right.
I mean, that's just a thing, man. That's just a thing.
Yeah, he ain't too bad, man. When the cameras are not there, and you really just kind of get down to talking to him or whatever the case may be, and you can get to the real Chris. He's not bad, man.
Well, I tell you what, man, I'm gonna be traveling the United States soon when I'm off, man, because I got to learn how to tune my bike. Now I done asked Envy. Now I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna ask the world. I need to figure it out because right now I'm too fat to. You know what I mean? I got to race Cartels at some point. He's 190 pounds. So you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What I'm gonna do about that, Richard?
What are you gonna do about
putting the pressure on you, Richard?
Yeah. What I'm gonna do about that? You know?
Stick that Gen 2 clutch in there.
Okay. Well,
man, you got to get on that, man. Listen, I'm gonna put it to you like this: if somebody called me and was like, "Yo, can you?" If somebody called me and said, "Yo, can you tune my bike?" and I said, "What ECU?" and if they said stock, it's you might need to get on the bandwagon, man. Well, I mean, for road racing, I don't know if it's as critical. I don't know what you guys all do in road racing, but it's the data.
Depends.
It's the data that's the big thing. It's the data that comes with it.
Oh man, you see what Chris Smith got the nerve? Me and Chris cool, man, but he gonna tell me to get on a diet all over my own show, man.
Hey, I told you what weight counts for.
Yeah. Okay, and you same. What did it say?
And me, same bikes, both in your prime. Who wins? When he was in his prime was nasty. I don't know, man. It's so funny. I've always stayed away from us being in a competition. We never have been. We always race different classes so that we didn't have to be. We rode the same class a couple times, but I don't know, man. I'd say you'd have a hell of a race, though. That's for sure.
Someone's asking you about some Max stuff, right? I do know that BJ seems to be like the go-to guy for Max stuff. However, you're kind of putting yourself out there right now. People gonna be contacting you.
It's not what I do for a living. It's not and I would say that I'd be hard to pin down just because of like BJ tunes for a living. That's what he does. That's what he's always on the phone for. That's what he wakes up every day and does. That's not what I do. So it's hard to get me to be a committed, I don't mind helping some people or whatever, but it's not what I do for a living. So I don't know how reliable I'd be. I'm on the dyno all day, every day with our Power Pack ECU that we're developing at Vance and Hines. And yeah, I probably wouldn't have a lot of time, to be honest.
Oh, so Vance and Hines have their own ECU. What?
Yeah, so we developed an ECU for dirt bikes, for Supercross, obviously drag dirt bikes, flat track, because a lot of those guys just have stock ECUs or a Vortex piggyback tuner, which is locked. Like you got knobs on there that you can turn high. Like you remember back in the day, the old Power Commanders where had the 3 buttons and you got low, mid. That's kind of like what dirt bike guys have to go race and tune from. And if they want data, they can put in a piggyback data logger on there of some sort, but they don't really have much of anything. So we came out with a standalone ECU using Max ECU software that you can basically you unplug your stock ECU and plug it in the same location. It uses your stock wire harness, stock sensors, stock everything. It's the true definition of plug and play, not put this on your bike and then you got this harness that's unterminated and you can make that's plug and play. This is literally unplug your stock ECU, plug this in, and you got a standalone. So I spent a lot of time on the dyno making that stuff work pretty much.
Oh, wow. Okay. And then Envy is saying, yeah, you know, some people are like BJ is hard to get in touch with, right? So like, you know,
anybody that's good is going to be hard to get in touch with.
Yeah. So, you know, some people and most didn't know that you were a Max guy. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's what, so the story about that is Frankie Stotts was the first guy in drag racing with a Max ECU on his bike and on his turbo Honda Pro Street bike. But I was the first nitrous guy with Brad Mummer's Pro Street bike. And a lot of what you see in that ECU for nitrous features and functions and everything were developed during that time frame with me and Steve Nichols on Brad Mummer's bike. And then BJ and DME and all those guys kind of started doing it as well. And then it ramped up from there. But it started at Frankie Stotts and kind of trickled to me. And then now Max ECU I'm not taking credit for Max ECU. It's a great ECU. I was just saying I started in the early stages of its drag racing presence. So I would call myself a Max guy. I can tune Motex and Fueltex and Hollies and Haltex. I can pretty much mess with all of them, but I'm partial to the Max.
Okay, you know, Ghetto is saying you can go fast while being fat. Of course he's going to say that.
Of course he will.
Yeah. Okay. Any more questions from the fans out there? And then, of course, we really do appreciate you coming on. And I'm probably going to want to bring you back on, like, at some point, maybe the end of the season, just to kind of see how you feel about, you know, what you accomplished this year.
Yeah, no, I'd be happy to, man. Anytime. I like to talk, obviously. So anytime y'all got an open spot, call me up. I'm in.
Yeah. I know where you at. You right over there in the Bill, so I might have to pay you a visit at some point.
Deal, that's what's up. If y'all need any work on those roll race bikes, check us out, Vance and Hines Motorsports. We got some packages, man.
Hold on. You just did something at the end. Hold on. What do you mean packages?
We got packages.
Like packages of what?
Cylinder head packages.
Oh. But you said you were doing your own cranks. So what you trying to say?
Yeah, we got that too.
So I want a 20 mil crank. You got it?
A 20 mil crank. We can make it. I don't know how you're gonna fit it in there. Your cylinder head ain't gonna bolt up no more because the engine gonna be so tall. But,
hey, we're using big spacer plate, you know. We got this.
Yeah. But nah, man, you just keep us in mind, you guys. Cylinder head packages, cylinder head cams. We got some stuff on some of the fast bikes out there. You know, we got some good packages, so just had to, you know, I had to do that plug in there. I had to plug.
I got you.
100%. No, for sure. We appreciate that.
Yep.
Somebody said, what do you got for ZX10s? I knew it'd be a 10 comment eventually. Yeah, no,
that's funny. Somebody messaged me last week and asked me about a ZX10, about ZX10 stuff. I'd say call the shop. You can ask for me or ask for Eddie, and we can break it down for you in depth and in detail what all we got. We got a few different combinations though, you know, because, you know, everybody needs something a little bit different. You know, we kind of do things based on your combination and what you're building, because it, you know, just to make it perfect. So just call the shop and we can talk to you in depth about it.
What you know what? I don't know if you're allowed to do this, but what's that shop's number?
Now that was a good test because I don't know it by heart. But hold on.
Oh, my bad, bro. My bad. I didn't mean to do you like that.
No, that's good. I hope my boss ain't watching. But I'm gonna tell
you
you.
know, a lot of people, they're just like, oh my God, I gotta Google this versus just calling you, you know?
Yeah. Nah, so it's 317-852-9057.
317-852-9057.
Yes, sir.
Reap's gonna be on that phone early in the morning. The minute y'all open up tomorrow.
No, man, no. Look, he already gave me the advice and what I probably need to do between him, Ghetto, Envy. Like, I probably just need to get my life together, and it's fine.
Hey, man, if you need any help, I got you, dog.
I appreciate that, my brother. Well, everyone, we are about to end this stream. We appreciate everybody showing up. Cartel, you got anything, bro?
Nah, man, we just appreciate your time, brother. You know, it's a pleasure to meet you. And yeah, we'll be talking to you at the end of the season, and we wish you well, bro.
That's mutual, bro. And before I go, Cartel, I don't know who did that artwork on your wall back there, but if they I might shoot you a message or something. I'm looking to get a helmet done with similar graffiti. So
I got you.
Might hit you up, man. I appreciate y'all for having me. Thanks, guys.
Nah, absolutely.
All right, y'all.
Take care.
Y'all have a good one. All right.